Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinion as we go through it. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com, where I dive deeper into all of these topics and sectors, looking for potential investment opportunities, and also looking to help you guys learn the markets. So let's dive in there. Let's take a look and see what's going on today. Starting with the DXY or the dollar, we're getting a pretty strong move upward in the dollar today, and that could be a potential move higher here with that strong candlestick. It could be, or it's real close to a bullish engulfing. The momentum is still to the downside, and we'll see if that gets a little bit of a bounce over the next few trading sessions. Overall, though, we've broken this to the downside, and that momentum is still intact. We just have to see if we're going to get a short-term bounce or not with the action that we've got today. We're a little bit split on yields here. So the short end of the curve, we are falling 0.9%, and that looks like we could continue to fall. The momentum is to the downside. We've broken through the downtrend line back in July, late July, and we've been moving lower, and the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates, and this is front running that move. It doesn't, maybe we don't know the exact extent of how much they're going to lower it, but this is kind of a key feature of people diving into the 2-year before the Fed funds gets lowered. The 10-year moving up a little bit, and we could see this break to the upside with this pattern that we've got. It's a falling wedge. We've got 3 distinct little humps going on here, the little dead period, and then usually that breaks to the upside. So that looks good to work its way on up in the short term. And the 30 years also got a similar pattern in a broken downtrend line that we've gotten there. So that could also move up a little bit. TYX TNX ratio, I use this to gauge what precious metals could do. We haven't broken out of this pattern yet, but this is a pattern that generally breaks higher. So I would expect that TYX TNX ratio breaks to the upside. It's the yield curve uninverting and the strength of, usually we see strength of precious metals when this uninverts like that. We've got bond prices moving sideways, but that has broken the downtrend. And I see most likely that this will continue higher. Nothing is obviously set in stone, but this still looks good to work its way on up. Yes, we can move a little bit in the short term all around, but overall, the stream is carrying this higher. Down, what I mean is the river is carrying it higher, the stream, the tailwind. The 2 and 10 here now, this is looking a little bit concerning. We are at that 1-to-1 relationship where the 2-year and the 10-year basically equal each other. When we cross past that 1-to-1 relationship, that is generally where we can get some sort of problem sometime soon. This definitely looks like it's rounding top and we are coming back down. So when this yield curve uninverts, the 2 and the 10, and we cross the 1, which is right where we're at, that is generally where we see a pullback in the markets or shortly thereafter. So we'll have to wait and see. We can't pinpoint this with complete accuracy, but we're close. And this generally says we should be more defensive than offensive in the markets. Gold, we are down $10 today. We had that nice strong dollar, but given where the trends are going, I still think that this is going to work its way on up over time. I don't know if it's going to dip in the short term like that, but overall, when you get the yield curve to uninvert, which started in October of 2022 here, That was your buy point to go long, and everything else has been a stair-step pattern as we go up. It is, quote, the tailwinds are behind us. So that's what I'm gauging and using. We've got silver also looking incredibly good. I know it's not good today. We are down 2.42%, but the tailwinds are behind this. We've got we'll call it the force that was jammed up against this resistance that is broken. We're setting in a flag pattern and we're ready to rip whenever that flag pattern is complete. So I still think that the tailwinds are behind gold and silver and are going to get stronger as the market weakens and they lower rates. And that will last for however long those rates are lowered. And they could even last past that depending on how the dollar reacts. Platinum down 2.4%. We are still within the pattern. And yes, it was a bigger down day today. And we could even come back here. It is possible because that is an upward facing kind of stair step pattern that we're getting where we could come down a little bit. I view that as a buying opportunity, but that's me. And we've been consolidating. We've got that pattern that we've seen working around here, and then we'll eventually break to the upside. We could see some slowdown in between where we're at today and when the breakout occurs, whenever that is in the future. So we could get some volatility here. And that will also impact palladium. Same thing. Got a little bit of selling pressure. It is a bearish engulfing. We could head lower in the short term. But there's a lot of support underneath us, and we'll have to see if it breaks through that support. So GDX getting some selling pressure. Same with GDXJ and same with SILJ. But all of these look good to continue higher with time. And that deals with where they're located, the squeezing of the patterns, the breakouts of the upside, and we're just up against resistance here. And eventually, I think we break through all those resistance levels. The tailwinds are pushing us forward there. XAU to gold ratio, we're down a little bit, but we're still above the downtrend line, and we're still at a very cheap level. I think that this is an incredibly good opportunity to be looking in this sector here. We do have a little bit of resistance going across here that we need to break through, and eventually we'll break through it. Crude oil down 1%. We are still within the pattern. Crude oil is going to be a difficult read. It's losing a little bit of its tailwind. What does that mean? When we get a market sell-off, or if we get a market sell-off, and we've got the yield curve uninverting, it could drag oil with it to the downside for a short period of time. I don't know if it's going to drag it sideways because of the market fundamentals and crude oil being tight, and if those fundamentals will continue to be tight, or if there's some sort of event. It seems like they do all these false flag events right around this time frame when the yield curve starts to uninvert, and all their buddies are long in bonds already to create fear and panic in the market, which then sells it off for a short period of time to get those guys the volume they need for their entry points, and then it reverses higher. Almost always seems like that's the case. TTF gas down a little bit today, but still looks good to try to work its way on up. We've got natural gas in America, and I know sometimes when they roll these contracts, it gives you kind of a false reading. But it was up 10.5%. We'll see if it continues higher. We've got our boy XOP. Yeah, you know me. It is moving sideways here. The only thing I don't like is I don't like seeing large selling pressure candlesticks and then a weak bounce into a bearish engulfing. That generally screams to me that it wants to continue lower in the short term. OIH is also underneath support with a big bearish engulfing pattern and another one that just showed up. It makes me think that we want to go lower. And I understand I am a bull in the oil space, but sometimes the macro pictures trumps the fundamentals of the sector. And that's where I think we're at right now. It doesn't mean that a commodity bull market is done. It means that we are undergoing a slowdown in the market during a commodity bull market. So this will be a pullback during a big commodity bull market, in my opinion. Newcastle coal futures they're down today 2%, but I do think that they're going to work their way sideways or higher over the longer term. Maybe not that big, but maybe it works its way up like this. And then eventually we take off after the slowdown is behind us. Profitable Uranium Trust also experiencing selling pressure today, much like everything else, and that is filling that gap. Will the fundamentals of uranium trump the macro picture? In my opinion, most likely not. But that's where we're at right now. Uranium futures pricing is going lower and it's starting to break to the downside. This could create, it is a falling wedge, could create a false breakdown and a potential slingshot higher in the future. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like. URA selling off 3.5% or so. And we probably will bounce around here for a little while, creating a basing pattern after strong selling pressure. URNM doing the same thing, and same with URNJ. It is possible that we do rip at some point. It is always possible, and I know people hold on to that possibility. But right now, they do look a little bit weak. Copper also selling off with a larger selling pressure candlestick down 2.11%. And we could bounce around here for a little bit, creating a basing pattern on support. The copper fundamentals are absolutely fantastic. And we'll have to wait and see when the buyers come in and change this dynamic. COPX also selling off a little bit today. Iron ore working its way sideways on support. Doesn't look bad. We've got aluminum down 2.5%, and that does look like we could pull back with that bearish engulfing we received today. Nickel up 1.24%, and it is looking like we're going to try to work our way on higher here. We'll see if that occurs. We've got MU down 0.11. It's holding on pretty strong today. It does still look bullish for a move higher eventually in the agribusiness ETF. It doesn't look bad at all. Emerging markets down 0.67%, stronger dollar. And this doesn't look too bad. We are above a lot of support. And we've just been trading sideways here, so it doesn't look too bad. KRE up 0.86%. It does look like we could work our way on up, and that's going to be from lower yields. Lower yields could be a sign of a weakening market. Yes, that's what I'll say there. TAN down a little bit, stronger dollars, stuff like that, but we've just been consolidating here the entire time for solar. Lithium down a little bit, but we've got support at about 35.50. REMX also down a little bit. A little bit of selling pressure across the board here, guys. Baltic Dry Index right below support, and we'll probably see if we can get through that resistance level, support resistance level. XHB down 0.74%. It doesn't look too bad. Not huge selling pressure. Not big elongated candlesticks, but it doesn't like the increase in interest rates on the 10-year. That's why all these are down. Russell 2000 is down a little bit. It looks okay. They're not big selling pressure candlesticks. We're still above support here. So we might bounce around a little bit before heading on higher, potentially. S&P 500, we are getting some selling pressure here, and I want to see if this thing rolls over. That's what I'm waiting for. We have a bearish engulfing here, and that generally works its way lower. We also have a rising wedge right into that. We have a breakout, retest, and then the rollover. And that would come from weakness in the market and unemployment rate and all that stuff. NASDAQ is also right on that support level. We'll see if it holds. We have a false breakout to the upside, broke right through the whole channel, came back for a retest into a bearish engulfing. That screams to me that we could go lower if it It screams that we could go lower. SMCI going lower today, down 19%. Looks like we've got support down here at about $336. Still doesn't look all that great, and I wouldn't jump in front of that train. It is a hammer candlestick, and we'll see if what the bounce looks like, but it could just roll back over again. Nvidia down 2%. I don't know, it's supposed to release earnings, so we'll see what occurs there. There's a lot of bearish engulfing candlesticks all over this place here. Well, it's not exactly a bullish setup, but they could come out with really good earnings. Who knows? Bitcoin down 4.3%. It's still within a pattern that's facing downward, which makes me think maybe we've got one last blow off top in this bad boy. A lot of the times you get a consolidation before a fifth wave, and maybe that's this consolidation here going sideways. And then Ethereum also just up a little bit, 2.7% towards the bottom end, but it is a downward facing pattern that's generally bullish over time. Maybe it's got one last impulse move higher or something on the lines of that. But that's what I've got for today, guys. So give me a thumb up for the content. Sign up or subscribe to the channel here. Sign up to the website if you'd like. We still have coupon code Mayday that is still active. I did release the midweek update today if you want to check that out. And yeah, that's all I've got for today. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.